Sorry, what?
I was going to bring my drum. I forgot it.
Oh, I got another one right here.
There. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was psyched about the drum that you said you had. And I should have in the show prep been like, where's your drum?
Show prep. You messed up.
Okay, here go. Start over again. Cut that part out. I'm talking to me in the future.
Wait, I actually have it right here. Ready?
I'm really not going to cut anything out. I don't ever cut anything.
Oh,
we have
good.
fun, folks.
Right there.
So, I'm talking about what to call listeners of the show. I'll get into that in a second. But I was talking about what to call the people who listen to the show, like people who listen to like certain like Pete Holmes calls his fans the weirdos because they listen to his podcast is called You Made It Weird, and Mark Maron does what the fucking ears, what the fuck bellies. Like he just lists off a bunch of what the fuckers. He does that for like a bunch of people who listen to his podcast. And I think people who listen to like Mark Norman's podcast, he calls them Tuesdays because that's his name. The show is called Tuesdays. Oh. And I'm like, I don't know what I would call people. Cassholes.
Kastle. What about evolvers?
I was thinking ookies, like EWCKYs.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Anyway, Karlee Welder, what up? How's it going? Good to be your friend.
Yeah,
great to meet you.
Yeah, so nice to meet you.
You're I think you're my second Canadian guest in the last month. So that's neat.
Yeah. Wonder why that is. Where all the cool kids are.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. You know what? Now I got to make the move because I got to be where all the cool kids are.
Yeah.
So since I was talking to you about the upgrades that I was making, and we were talking about that off mic a little bit. This is the first time I'm doing like adding different video elements to it. So like, do you think that this is like around the screen? And this is only for the video, people who are watching the video and not listening to the audio. Sure, listen to the audio too, but then go back and check out the video and see what I'm talking about. The thing around us, is that too much?
Pretty busy. I like it though. I think it's cool personally, but okay. I like it, but so you can't see your beautiful face. We're blocking it though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a mini one underneath.
Oh, that's true. This is a mini one. Oh, you're in your background too. There is as well.
Well, here's my real face right here.
I know. You're everywhere.
It's overwhelming. So, I am not super familiar with some of your work, but I know that you're like teaching seminars and you're like helping people, coaching people along and trying to get like spiritual with people. And I kind of want to like that kind of gels with me in a lot of ways. So I figured I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a platform. I wanted to give you a conversation, but I also know that like so many people who have podcasts go like, well, tell me what made you start. And like it's like, if I wanted to find out all that stuff, I could just look up other podcasts that you've been on. So absolutely. All I want to do is have you talk about what organically comes to your mind, you know?
Yeah, I agree. That's so true. Or just look at
anyway,
my website.
What got you into the field?
No, that's not very exciting. You're right. I mean, it is kind of exciting, but well, I mean, what is exciting? I feel like the work I do is more exciting, but I'm actually hosting a workshop, a spiritual embodiment workshop just for men next week. So I'm really excited for it because I noticed and I see there's not really a space for men to like step more into their spirituality. Like literally there is not a single Facebook group for men with it at all. And I
You were
find
talking
too
about
the way, yeah, okay, go. What do you
you were talking about like you were kind of talking about getting in touch with like sensitivity, and you were kind of talking about like men who like kind of who are kind of like okay with like suppressing their feelings and just kind of like letting that like, oh, don't cry, you bitch, you little, and like kind of like calling themselves bitches in a way. Like,
yeah.
oh man, I had this interaction. You know how like you just have interactions in your day and like you like leave it and you're like, I should have said this, I should have done that. Like there was I was at the store and this guy was talking to the guy behind the register, and the guy behind the register was like, he was like, oh yeah, I was good. They asked the Cortez and this, and he like was going into like a history lesson with this guy, and I was like, excuse me, is that where the term burn your ships comes from? Like when they conquered that, they like burnt their ships so there was no turning back, no retreat. And the guy who he was talking to then was like, hey, Tony, it's okay to be mean to people, right? It toughens them up. It makes them learn that they should shut their mouths. And the guy was like, and in my head, I was like, I'm okay with saying nothing because I know you need this to help you get through, but I know that you will continue to live this life till you expire and serve no significance in the historical presence in the world. Like, you're not going to make any positive change on anyone. Have fun with your life expiring. You are toxic masculinity.
Seriously, that is
I'm
an
like,
example, hey?
I had a mask on. I wanted to pull my mask off and be like, I'm Cory Kastle, you motherfucker. I've been through mean shit. I'm like, I wanted to, like, in my head, I was like, yeah, do all that. And I was like, have fun serving no historical like significance in the world. We're talking about intelligent historical shit. And this guy's trying to, it's okay to be mean to people. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not okay to be mean to people. You're just mean. And maybe you should work on that. And I didn't want to like even get worked up talking about it, but it's like, bro, like really be careful with what intentions you're putting out there. Like what if like I followed you out to the parking lot and murdered you? Like, you don't know me. Like, what if, because I've been in that same store where like fights have broken out. Like, what, dude, you're like 95 years old. I could beat the fucking shit out of you, but I don't care. Like, I'm like, I'll let that roll off me because to me, this will be a story where my name's present and I say this name, I say the story on the record, and in this story, you've got no name because your significance is so little as a person.
True.
Anyway, so be a more compassionate, loving man in the world.
More loving men, right?
And the guy was like, it's okay to be mean to people. And I want to be like, yo, wasn't somebody could have been mean to you in the weight room and be like, yo, work harder on those weights, bro. Because you're just some fat old guy. You're fat old white gray guy. Do you, dude? But he probably needed that because he was like, before in the conversation, he was like, kids are spoiled. Oh, the kids are real spoiled. I'm like, you just need misery. You just need misery. And like, you go around like waving this, like, it's okay to be mean to people thing so that then someone can bite the bait of whatever your shit is. So then you're just proved right in whatever your shit is.
Yeah. Totally. That's so true.
And that happened in the span of like, when you and I had that little interaction where you're like, oh, both same time. I can't believe it. And I was like, yeah, I like set the thing up and then I ran to the store and I came back. And while I was at the store, that happened. And I was just like, The second that guy said it, he stopped thinking about it. I was no longer a thought in his head, but that guy now is living in my head. And that's the way I'm trying to think of, like, I've been saying this forever. Like, I know some of the like real messed up and abusive things that people have said or done to me. The second it came out of their mouth, the second they did the thing they did, they stopped thinking about it altogether. But then they live rent free in my head, and I'm like, man, like, I got so much. I got so many other things. I got so many other things to do and be grateful for, and so many other people who wouldn't do that. And I would be the kind of person who wouldn't be doing that to people. So I think it's like and I don't think that guy's a mean person. I just think that's what he's programmed. That's the way he's like used to things working for him. And I don't take it personally, because like, I'm sure he lives a very miserable life, and that's sad. But like, you got to want to not be miserable.
Gotta work for it. Gotta work on not being mean.
Right.
For him. Anyway, I don't know.
So what kind of stuff are you into? You into like stand up? Do you like I know, like, what kind of stuff have you been watching since the quarantine started? Was the quarantine hitting you hard in BC?
Not bad.
No.
We shut down in March for like everything, and no one was working pretty much for, was it 2 months? March, April, May, a bit of May.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, now it's just really fucking annoying trying to go grocery shopping or do anything of that sort, because there's lineups, worst lineups ever, like wrapping around the store, wrapping out of the store. So now my Friday night excitement of the weekend, I go grocery shopping Friday nights now to avoid it. That is what it's come to.
I am also, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, I really don't like long lines at stores. I don't like crowds at stores. Normally, I'll try to get to the store when I know, like, it's not the peak time for tons of people to be there. So, like,
Yeah.
Friday night, you would never catch me at a store on a Friday night.
It was dead on Fridays here. Friday night.
What's that?
It was dead here on a Friday night.
Oh yeah, around here, I think it would be mobbed, and I just socially distant from the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
So, man, where was I going with that? Just the since the quarantine started, is there like certain stuff that you've been watching or helping or reading that's been helping you, or that's been sort of like inspiring you, or anything you've been listening to that's like kind of getting you to where you kind of want to be a little bit more?
Yeah, sure, for sure. I've actually, since January started, I'm doing a Ascension challenge with this lady named Christina Rice. So she channels different like archangels, which is really interesting. And she records herself on and then uploads them to YouTube. So I'm on day I'm behind. I think I'm on day like 20 today or something like that. But so you like listen to the channeled message. It's like usually 20 minutes long, and then she has like writing prompts for you, exercises for you to do to kind of like dig deeper into it. So it's supposed to shift you from a 3D reality into a 5D consciousness, which I already am, but it kind of just ingrains it a little more, sort of thing. So that's been really enlightening and interesting, because you get to dig deep on things you don't really want to think about half the time. Does that make sense?
What's the work that you've faced in that? What's the stuff that you see and you're like, oh, you don't want to hear about that, but like, I guess I gotta. What kind of stuff has been like your hard road for yourself in those lessons?
Being honest and true to myself and what I want in a relationship. That's probably been the hardest thing.
in what aspects have you been dishonest with yourself?
Guess I'm sharing it on a podcast. So I don't care. Fuck, whatever. I was sleeping with someone, but like having casual sex or whatever, just like friends with benefits. But I truly actually want like a soul partner, like a relationship. So I wasn't being honest with myself. So I cut it off like a week, 2 weeks ago. I was like, nope, because that's not the right energy. That's the energy I'm sending out there and attracting to me. And I'm like, I've been constantly stuck in the same cycle of attracting guys like that into my life for the past few years that don't want anything more. They just want to sleep with me all the time, or they want everything, but without the title. It's lovely. It's great. So finally setting my boundaries with myself, true to myself, that opens up space for me to receive someone that I actually want. Does that make sense?
There's a podcast that I listen to. It's called Man School 202. Maybe that'll help you in building towards your Just for Men seminar. But he does the thing where he talks about setting your non-negotiables. Dante Nero is the host. He says setting your non-negotiables. I think that's really important, and I think that you've in your brain decided you're not compromising what your non-negotiables are now.
Yeah.
So it's that same thing of like, not only does nobody else have your voice, but nobody else has your best intention in mind as much as you do. Right?
So
like
true.
you're on your team more than anyone else will ever be on your team because you spend more time with you than anybody else in the world spends time with you.
No way.
What? Groundbreaking. You're good. Those are original ideas. No one's ever thought of that before.
Right? Oh.
No, but well, like I did check out one of your Facebook lives when you were doing it, and I just I wasn't in it for very long. It just kind of, I don't want to say I scrolled through it, but I was in it, and then I was listening to it for a minute, and then I like scrolled through the comments, and it was like the people that are commenting are such engaging people. There's people who are you're helping so much with just such the little amount of like, it's like it feels like it's just on the come up. You know what I mean? Like it's just like these few people who are hearing the messages that need to be heard and applying them. Like I just feel like it's just on the cusp of a ton more people hearing the messages they need to hear and applying them. So I want to say on the record, while we're on the record, I know you've already put all your business out there. I just want to tell you how grateful I am and how much I appreciate you and your work and what you're doing. And I can see it as something that's a role model for people, and I appreciate it. And on the record, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I push people. I'm a pusher sometimes. You gotta these days, people. It's ridiculous. So I get kind of aggressive sometimes, just because they don't.
Well, I mean, it's tough because so many people get used to living their lives the way they live them, and you saying something about it that challenges the ideas of what they already are sure in what they know. They know who they are. You can't tell me I'm something I'm not, and then you challenge that idea, and some people just go, she don't know, F her, and move past it. And some people will listen. Some people will truly apply, like looking inward that way. And I recognize the humongous challenge, and I feel like I'm hopefully trying to do the same thing.
Hopefully.
Right? What's that?
I said hopefully. I don't know. Are you?
Right. Well, I mean, That's the whole idea behind the drum, right? I told you that already, right?
You didn't tell me the idea behind the drum.
Why I beat the drum before the beginning of every episode?
No, you didn't. You never told me that actually.
Okay, so I think it was. Do you know who Pete Holmes is?
No.
Okay, Pete Holmes is like one of my favorite podcasters and comedians, and he used to have a late night talk show that would come on after Conan O'Brien. And he was having a conversation with Conan O'Brien, and Conan O'Brien said some sort of an example that had to do with an instrument. I think it was something like a triangle. He's like, you just keep consistently hitting your triangle the way you hit your triangle, and then eventually someone go, do you hear that triangle? And I would apply that to my drum. So I just continuously beat my drum the way I beat my drum, and then eventually, just as consistent as it is, people will go, you know what, I should start listening to all that. Everything that accompanies that drum that's persistently and consistently beating.
Oh, smart. You're programming people's brains without them knowing.
Well, now they know. Shit.
They'll forget.
Manipulative. All I want to do is get your ad dollars.
Download.
So what kind of stuff have you covered in other what do you call them? Seminars? Do you call them like webinars? What do you
call them? Live streams, because I go live. So wow, another original. Hey. Should call them something better than that. But
revolutionary.
Oh, I should say Tuesdays is Tuesday Tarot time, so it's different, but it's still a live stream. So yeah, and I usually just do that from the comfort of my bed in the morning, and I just chirp about tarot cards and do some readings for people if they join me live, and yeah, give them a little insight and give them whatever I'm feeling that week.
So, can you tell me one more time what was the thing with the woman who was channeling and leaving messages? What is that called?
Yeah, her name's Christina Rice, and she channels different like spirit guides and like archangels and stuff like that.
Have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks?
Well, yeah, but I don't really know exactly what
Abraham
I feel like I should know.
Abraham Hicks was like a channeled. It was an entire channeled, like, I don't want to say, it was like kind of a book on tape, but not a book on tape. It was like my mom had this series of tapes that was like came in like a big fold out book, and she would play them for us in her minivan when we were kids. And it was a lot of it was like the spirit guide speaking through this woman. And the spirit was Abraham. Her name was something Hicks, and then she released this stuff as Abraham Hicks. Like, and it. I think I don't hold on to a lot of what the memories of it were, and I kind of wish I still had a lot of it in there. But I know that sort of channeling and that mind of it, the mindset of that, still lives with me as part of my origin story. So I'm grateful for it, and I think that the main takeaway that I got from it was, instead of talking about the things you don't want, instead word it in a way where it puts it more in the perspective of what you do want. So not just wording it, but feeling it and thinking it. So being like, instead of saying, I don't want to work at this job anymore, you say, oh, I want a better job. And feel that you want a better job. And instead of saying what you don't want, say what you'd like instead. That wound up trickling into what was like Napoleon Hill for me, and like the law of attraction and The Secret and all that stuff that goes along with it. But like, I think a lot of people like look at that as kind of like manipulation, and some people want to absolutely say it's as much of a work as anything else. But if it works, then let it apply.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in my head, I just know that the messages are genuine and real things that should apply to you. And it doesn't matter the legitimacy of it, or it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I have some really good friends who are like psychic mediums, and we talk about this stuff. We talk about the cards and all that stuff. And I for sure have been in very spiritual circles with people, and intense prayer rituals with people, sacred things. And in the back of my head, I'm still like skeptical, still like I still go back to like, what am I, atheist? What am I, agnostic? Because I go, what is that? And then I go, free yourself from identifying as a believer or non-believer, or a skeptic, or a atheist. Anything with a st in it, I don't want to be. You know, I'm, and I say this all the time, and you might have heard me say it before, but I say I'm very careful about how I advertise myself, how I present myself to some. If I were to come up to you and say, "Oh, you know how I'm like really funny and really smart," and you'd be like, "Okay, all right," and then like we start talking for like 15 minutes, and you're like, "This guy hasn't made me laugh once, and he hasn't said one smart thing." I could fact check what he said, and he can be wrong, and then not only am I not funny and not smart, I'm also a liar. So instead of telling you what I am, I'll just be what I am, and you'll see it, and you develop your own sort of idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
We made this. I'm sorry.
Everyone's perception is going to be different of someone else. So what's the point, right? There's no point. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we made this film in 2015 where it's called The 90%, and the one character, we said he gave himself the nickname. He gave himself the nickname, the Great One. It's like, yeah, if you give yourself a nickname, you're just a douchebag. Like somebody else has to give you the nickname. You can't give yourself the nickname. So we had a character, we just like talked about him a lot as a character who gave himself the nickname, the Great One, and how much that guy was a douchebag.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm the Great One.
So then I think my character, I think the whatever the thing was, it was the guy was trying to tell me what the rules of a nickname was. He was like, it has to be something that reflects on your traits, and somebody more than one person has to call you that nickname. And I'm like, okay.
So there were so many rules.
Right. So then it wound up being like, I was like, well, my nickname is Mr. Awesome, right? So, wait, what's my nickname? And he goes, Mr. Awesome. Something like, see there, you called me Mr. Awesome, and I called me Mr. Awesome. That's more than one. I'm Mr. Awesome.
That's good.
So we wrote that around the idea of being careful about how you declare what you are. And I feel like that's kind of what I like about the non-binary idea, because everything should be non-binary. You're like, everything should be like, there's a third way. There's the whole idea of like, there's your story, and there's your story, and then there's what actually happened. There's this person, there's three sides of every story. It's like that with everything, not just with the stories.
Yes, totally.
So, do you? So you started to try to tell me that you did get into stand up a little bit, like watching some stand up in quarantine, or did you not say that?
I actually, it's funny that you said that, but I have like the world's worst memory.
Oh.
I know I did actually watch a funny one on Netflix, but I can't remember who it was. So sorry. And I was supposed to go to a comedy show this past November. Clearly that didn't happen. It was Isa.
Who?
Isa. I can never pronounce her last name. I think it starts with an S. She's female.
Eliza Schlesinger?
Isa. Yeah.
Eliza Schlesinger?
Eliza. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the
Looking
little
forward
goat
to
voice.
that.
The little goat noise that she makes. She's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it got postponed until next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything did. This whole
yeah.
there's been a monkey wrench and a break put on everything, and sort of like, all right, let's kind of reset here. And I'm so hopeful. I'm so optimistic about what's beyond this. Like what's beyond the like wearing masks everywhere. I can't wait to not have to do that. And I can't wait to not have to like it also goes into like what that outrage thing is. Like once somebody sees somebody without a mask, they're like, I'm filming you. Huh? Like it's like a whole thing.
Is it that bad there?
It's not like that. No, I mean it's not like that here. But I'm saying like you see that on the internet, like on Twitter and stuff. You see Karens freaking out.
Yeah, it's true. I try to push my luck to see how much I can't wear a mask out when I go out. See if I get kicked out or not.
Would you put on a fake Karen show? Like, I came in here last week without a mask and you guys didn't do anything.
That's true. I
could. Now, I wanted to I've said this a million times on the podcast, so if this bothers you, not you specifically, but the people listening, and if you're one of the people who it bothers specifically, calm down. But one of the reasons I started this, I don't know, I don't want to say it's one of the reasons, but one of the important things behind me wanting to do this was me saying that in the beginning of me wanting to do this, my mom had told me the story about when she had saved onto a CD, she had burned a CD that had voicemails left from her mother who had passed and her best friend who had passed. And she said to me, you know how when someone passes away, you kind of forget what their voice sounds like? And I was like, I knew in my head, I was like, I don't ever want that. I want to give you the opportunity where if I'm gone, you can go back and listen to who I actually am. You can go back and hear me on the record say these things. So if this is still just the very beginning of what our friendship winds up being, of me being a resource to you in any way I can be. So this is on the record, me saying this. I'm happy to be a resource to you in any way that I could possibly be. If you need my help with something, if you need judgment-free conversation, if you just need a friend, absolutely feel free to call me. I'll give you my phone number. Anybody listening, if you just need judgment-free conversation, you need help, you need a shoulder to cry on or whatever, I'm not hard to get a hold of. So, and I'm absolutely somebody who's going to give you back the effort that you gave me by spending the currency of your time and effort on consuming the Evolving with Cory Kastle podcast, available on Spotify and iTunes. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe. I'm totally just turning into an accidental shill. That was all a bit, but seriously, on the record, open invitation to, reach out to me anytime you want. And on the record, that me all saying that was to say, here's your opportunity to ask me anything or tell me about any impressions that you've got that could help me evolve into a better version of myself.
Talking to me?
Yeah, of course. Who else am I talking to? There's nobody else here.
I'm just fucking you. I thought you were talking about whoever's going to be listening.
No. I was talking to you specifically.
Well, I'm just getting to know you. So, I mean, I don't know yet. I'll find out, I'm sure, soon enough. But then again, I don't really judge or compare or whatever. Teach their own. So I probably would never even say anything.
So that's saying to each their own, right?
Mm.
And that applies to kind of like whatever floats your boat, sort of like it falls inside that umbrella of like
That's true.
whatever blows your skirt up. It's the same sort of, and and I heard you saying it, and I thought you said teach their own, and I'm like, yeah, teach their own, like be the example, teach their own.
Hey, I could switch it up, make a new quote. To each their
There you go,
own.
teach their own.
That's actually true. It's pretty fitting for me right now.
Who are your role models? Who are the people that inspired you to be what you're striving to be?
Mm. Well, no one really famous per se,
No, it doesn't have to be. No,
or that you would know, I guess,
I don't
right?
have to know him. I don't have to know him. It could be the person who pushes the grocery carts in the parking lot of the grocery
Oh
store.
yeah.
Like
Larry,
it doesn't have to be somebody I know for sure. I'm not some clout hog. I'm not some like fame whore, I guess.
just checking.
No.
So my mom for sure, one of my best friends that lives out of town, and my last coach that I had for sure as well. I'd say that's really it. Myself really is the one that's pushed me to be where I am today, I would say, the most out of everything.
Have you considered starting your own podcast?
Yeah. I just don't have time and energy for it right now. Unless I did it like you did, because you don't edit your videos, and I know that's what takes the most time out of it is cutting it and stuff. Because I know how to video edit and all that stuff, but I know, yeah, it's very time consuming. If it takes an hour to edit like a 60-second video, I can't imagine what it would be to edit out an hour talk with someone. But
I'm going to go back to quoting something that I grew up on. Abraham Hicks, not Abraham Hicks, Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, the guy who like started Think and Grow Rich, the law of attraction, the idea behind it when he said, tell the world what you're going to do, show them first. So it absolutely, you don't have to get all bogged up in the, I'm going to do it. I don't have the time for it right now. And I don't know. I don't want to edit it. I don't want to, instead of like getting all in your way because of your perfectionism.
yeah,
Like the amount of lessons that you hear and apply to you don't remember exactly how you perceived it, but it's in there. You know, if you had a platform where you could kind of put it out there every week and maybe talk to other people who fascinate you, who, you know, it doesn't matter if they're somebody that everybody knows. Like I, for sure, made sure to just have conversations with people who fascinate me. So
yeah.
I, you know, had my mom on here a couple times, and well, not a couple times, once, but I talk about that episode all the time. So in my head, it's in there a couple of times, but I had my mom on here. I had my neighbor on here. I've had just like friends of mine, like just people who I just am fascinated with their stories, because absolutely this information, this on the record chat is going to outlive us. Like the lady next door to me, she's like in her 70s. She's got all these fascinating stories, and then pretty soon she'll pass away and no one will have ever heard them. You know?
Mm,
So the people who care about her, the people who love her, the people who she's impacted their lives can listen back to that and be like, oh, I didn't know that about her. Oh, that's amazing. And then like have that help them sort of work through the loss a little bit. And like it kind of helped me through a loss when I lost my friend Chris, and he was on my podcast twice. And on the record, I was able to tell him, man, you're a superstar to me. And I don't care who else knows it. I don't care who else discovers you. I feel like I've discovered a superstar, and you're one of the funniest people I know. And I want to tell you how grateful I am for your time. And him coming back and going, you're funny and you're a good guy. And I love you and I appreciate you. And for me to hear that back after he'd passed away, it helps me a little bit more with the crying and the being upset. Like it's like more of a a mechanism, and I love that to be the resource. Like I told you, the loving to be a resource for you in any way. If I can be a resource for you in any way, please let me know. I love that. What I'm doing, I'm calling it. I like to say not just this, not just evolving, but I'm saying like who I am. I love to be universally at the service of somebody who didn't know they needed me to be universally at their service. Right. So like, that's why I got ordained. Like I did the thing just to be ordained, to be able to say, well, I have the ability to offer somebody the service of like officiating their wedding just because I like to be able to provide that's a moment, it's a milestone for somebody. And if I can be a part of something that's unforgettable, that's a milestone, I'm gonna seize that moment. I'm gonna create some memories, hopefully, which I have created memories in the ring for the last 19 years.
Yeah.
Just for the people who are there, I guess.
But wait, are you not on TV anymore?
No, I'm not on TV. No, not at all. I was on TV as a wrestler like in like 2002. Nobody's watched my shit in a long time.
You should cut it into your YouTube podcast upload with you some wrestling in between.
No, but that would involve so much editing, and we'd lose with the genuine sincerity.
Okay.
It distracts from the sincerity of our organic conversation.
That's good.
So, what is the most overly asked question of you?
Overly asked question?
Yeah, like what is like, oh, you just know you got the answer like kind of like at the ready because you know someone's going to ask you. If you're a guest on somebody's podcast, or if you're like consulting with somebody, if you're like getting ready to help somebody in some coaching capacity, what is the advice that you get asked? What is the thing you get asked the most, where it's like, if I were to have looked up your name and then listen to every podcast that you've been on, what is the theme of like people are asking you these same questions? What's like the most asked question? And you don't even have to answer it, but what is it?
I'm thinking, I would say lately anyways, it's been how can they manifest whatever the hell they want into their lives. It's usually money or love. One of the two. That's what it is. I'm doing all this and doing all that, doing, but I'm just not seeing any results. Or every time I do, it doesn't work out, and I'm one step backwards. And blah blah. You know what I mean? That's what I get the most.
I mean, in that, what is the common theme? Like, what is it, the attribute about these people that's like the common theme in that? Are they people who are come from privilege, or people who come from struggles? I mean, everybody's got their own struggle and privilege, but what is it? What else is common inside of these people besides those things?
I personally think, and most people have a scarcity mindset, not an abundant mindset, and no one works on themselves. They don't love themselves enough. That's usually the number one factor in all of these things, is they have no love for themselves. They're not confident. They have no self-belief in themselves. They feel lost. They're just sad. But that's how society has programmed and conditioned us over the years to be, unfortunately. So Yeah.
So I always say this. I always say this thing a million times, and I hope that you can take it and you can apply it and you can use it for whoever you're speaking to. And if you give me credit, cool. If not, whatever. I I I always say there's like this multi-million-dollar industry. If you look inside the bookstore, there's a whole section called self-help. So much self-help. But there is not a section for self-fix. And I think that's what people are looking for. There is no fix. You have to continue to do the work. What you want has to find you doing the work. And
what did you say? What
you want has to find you doing the work on yourself before what you want finds you.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what it is. And people don't understand that whatsoever. Or people, like you said, there's a million trillion books on it, but people don't know how to apply it into their lives. They'll read. They'll do all these things. They'll YouTube things, whatever, download free stuff, watch me chirp for free all the time, right? But they don't ever actually take action with themselves outside of that. And that's when the magic happens, right? That's when actually things will be better. But so it's interesting.
Yeah. I say this a lot, and like I said, one more time, if you can apply this, or anybody who's listening because they know you and want to kind of hear, what you're up to. I say this thing a lot, and if this is the first time you're hearing me say it, cool. But I say the amount of times growing up, I always said I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I said I wanted to be a comedian. Those are the main things I said I wanted to be when I was a kid. I never said I wanted to be a podcaster because that was not yet a thing. So maybe what you want isn't a thing yet. Like, what was your problem? What was your biggest problem 6 months ago? Like, it kind of is fleeting. Your problem is fleeting, and sometimes the development of things are slower than what you think. Because, like you said, somebody says, "Oh, I'm doing all this and I'm not getting this. I'm doing all this and I'm not getting this." I'm like, maybe you're not. Maybe you're too focused on there not being a result because what you want doesn't exist yet. What possibility of you getting the money or the love or whatever you're trying to get doesn't exist? What if you find the love of your life and you're like, man, where were you 10 years ago? And they're like, oh, I was in a different country. Maybe I was, maybe
Right?
maybe they're like, man, I wish I knew you my whole life. And then and you're like, oh, when were you born? oh, 18 years after me. Oh, I met the love of my life who didn't exist for the first 18 years of my life. Like that. That's
I think that's timing, I feel like, right?
it's divinity. Yeah, it's divine timing. It's totally. And you're always going to want something different than you wanted later because the world doesn't stop turning. And I always say, and forgive me if I'm just regurgitating all the stuff I always say, but it's like we get lost inside of the old moments that we'll never get back. Like, and we waste so many of the right nows on right nows that have already happened. And like what we're victim to, like what moment that we became a victim and then just stayed there. So instead of being like an observer in what's happening to you, because most of us are just very reactionary to like what's happening in our lives. Not enough of us have become a deliberate creator in what our existence is. I think that gets people going like, here's what the obstacle is, and I'll never get past it. I'll never get over it. The obstacle is just a speed bump. Like, but instead you've made that obstacle like a straight up hindrance for you any steps forward in who you want to be and what you want to do. because you're too busy identifying as somebody who can't get what you want. There's absolutely
Yeah.
and
Scarcity mindset.
yeah,
Right there.
you're in the casino playing with desperate money.
True though.
So I have just like 2 more things, and then I'll send you off into the sunset. You can do the things you need to do, hot dog and a handshake, and you can just go on about your day. All right. So since this is on the record, since this is something that's going to outlive us, this audio, this video, whatever, this
Yay.
is going to outlive us. Let's say you've got a message. Let's say 10 years from now that goes to somebody who's really going to listen to this to go, oh, who was Karlee really? I really want to get that idea of that. And what like messages would you give to them? This is what I call this audio time travel, right? So you're speaking right now directly to the people in the future. Not to mention that already anybody who's listening to this, when they're listening to it, it's our future. It's there right now, right? So you're audio time traveling to a big, long, distant future where somebody's going like, wow, wonder what 2021 Karlee was like. And you're speaking to them right now. Go ahead.
Oh, so much pressure. I don't even know. A message for the future peeps, or or what?
Yeah, the future. The future.
Because I mean, for me, I'm hoping in the future that everyone's going to be awakened and that we'll all be conscious and be working with their energies and the energy around us. That is my hope and dream right now for the next upcoming 5 years. So I'm hoping by then that we'll be able to really all come together and be one as a collective consciousness, really is what I'm hoping for. But so, I don't know.
Any particular messages? Like any what if sibling? Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have an older sister.
What if your older sister stumbles across this to see exactly what the hell Karlee was on a podcast for? And she finds this. She finds this in 15 years or something. What is the message directly to your sister?
Oh, well, my message is you are beautiful and capable and worthy of achieving all of your hopes, desires, dreams, and goals. And there's no reason why you can't. And there's no reason you cannot. And to believe in yourself and to express your true authentic self and be true to yourself as well. And to hope that everyone else is the same as well in this world, in the future, now. That's really what I would say. I don't know.
That's great. Okay, that's awesome. So, hypothetically, this is the way I normally start wrapping it up is I'll say, hypothetically, I've gifted you this podcast, right? So this has been your pilot episode, your first episode of Evolving with Karlee Welder. The first episode, and you want to do like a Jerry Springer's final thought segment that for like about a minute, you tell everybody, wrap it up in a nice pretty bow of like what messages they can take away from this and what can help them to evolve to a better version of themselves tomorrow as they were today. And then after you do all that, then in your best Alf impression, say, "Hey, Willie," and then plug whatever you want to plug.
Hey, Willie. I don't have an elf impression. What's an elf? What would an elf voice sound like?
Alf? You know Alf from the Alien show? Alf, Alien Life Form? It was a puppet.
No.
It was from like the 80s or 90s. It was just a ridiculously random thing that I just started doing.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know the elf
just
thing.
To keep it light and fun.
Okay, so what was it? It was
So Jerry Springer's final thought. What
hmm.
what are the main takeaways? What can people learn? What can people use or apply to be a better version of themselves tomorrow as they were today? And if
Mhm.
what lessons have you taught me? What lessons can you teach me to help me become, because this is evolving with Cory Kastle. So it's not like it's not just called evolving with Cory Kastle because I'm the host. I'm evolving with your lessons.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
so
Okay, I got a
this
big
is
one.
this is evolving with Karlee now.
Get the drum. Okay, it's good. It's a gooder. Okay, listen to yourself only and trust and lean into yourself. Because the reason why I say this is no one does anymore. Everyone always asks for advice. Everyone's indecisive. However, you hold all the keys and the answers inside of you if you actually just tuned into yourself and listened to yourself more and stop consuming so much noise around you. Okay.
Hey Willie,
Oh, that was pretty good.
that was a big surprise. That was a big surprise.
I do pretty good with voice impressions. I just didn't know what it was.
Thank you. I want to also make sure I let you know how important it is that you were able to give me some of your time and pay me some of the currency of your effort. I appreciate it very much, and I appreciate it for you to give the currency of your time and effort to maybe some of the people who might listen to this or try to apply something. And I want to say that to the people who have listened or the people who have watched it. It's like, really, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate any feedback or any of the people who've subscribed or shared it or anything like that. So continue doing that, continue supporting. I mean, I'm hoping that this is valuable to you as much as it's valuable to me, and anything else you want to say or make sure that the points made that it's said, or any other stuff you want to plug, because I want to give you that platform and that opportunity right now.
I don't think so. I like a natural flow, you know?
All
But
right.
thank you for having me. It was great. It was fun.
Yeah.
You are
Thanks a lot.
funny.
Let's
Oh.
I like hearing that I'm funny and that I'm smart, and I'll take a good compliment every once in a while. Like, sure.
Yeah, take it. And I,
Take it.
yeah,
I
take it.
appreciate it. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
everybody, tell everybody that you love them. Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.